Well, hello there, and welcome to another episode of Captain Motorhead Legacy. I want to apologize first off. I know this one's a little bit delayed. Wanted to have it out a month ago, but life happened. The app I was using didn't want to work on my phone, so I actually had to go and get a laptop just to then have the app that I paid for my phone not transfer over to the laptop because it's a different type of thing on the website. I don't really know how to explain it. I'm new to the podcast stuff. I thought that was a little strange and kind of bait and switch, but whatever. Now I'm on a new app, and so far everything seems to be going pretty okay. So I've done a couple test runs over the last week. I've just been kind of holding out to have a true day to sit down and get this done. So finally, here we are. Episode 2, first full length episode. Part of a segment I think is going to be called Motorsports with Motorhead. Still spitballing some ideas there on the name itself, though, so I'm not entirely dedicated to that as of now, but we will see what happens here in the near future with it as we keep going forward. Maybe it'll stick, maybe it won't. But for today, that's what I'm going to call it. So, hello there, everybody. I am your host, Captain Motorhead. And thank you for all those that did listen to that first podcast. I know it was a little bit rough, so thank you for staying with it and for checking this one out. I've had quite a few people asking me about when it's coming out. A few jokes we made. Well, it's never going to happen. Yes, it's happening. I'm not giving up on this. It just took me a little bit longer than I wanted to be able to actually get on to the second one. And with that being said, I do have a lot to cover today. I'm not going to go into as deep of details I would have if I was able to cover these events as they happened, but I'm going to still try and keep this to an hour at most. And there's a lot of news from NHRA to ARCA and NASCAR over to the Indy 500 and all the tragedy that happened there on that day for quite a few different people. So it's just a lot to go over in such a short time. And I say short time, an hour is not entirely a short time, but I think people understand what I'm trying to get at with that. So with all that being said, here we go. First off, I would like to touch on NHRA. Tony Stewart, a driver who I got to meet when I was younger. I have his car signed and up in my collection. His beautiful number 20 Home Depot car. Would like to add a dragster to that collection, as he just won, well, I say just, is over a month ago, his first NHRA Top Fuel event. And it was actually out at Las Vegas back on April 13th. Wow. Has it been a minute or what? He even has a second victory now. And has been the points leader for NHRA championship standings. I would like to see him win a full-on championship for NHRA. Of course, he has championships in multiple different series, including NASCAR, IndyCar, IROC, the Outlaws. There's way more on that list. There's also more for series that he has wins in. I looked at the entire list after he won, and I was very impressed. Sometimes it shocks me that Tony Stewart's not in the rankings for one of the best drivers that we have, at least alive today. So, don't know why he's not really in those. I love to see all the hate for Kyle Larson on he's not the best, Max Verstappen's the best. And for all that, I say, I don't know if there really is a best driver, but we do have some really talented guys out there in the field these days. I don't really think anyone deserves the best driver title. But I'm glad Tony's doing good. I would like to see that continue on. I want to get to see him again, hopefully dressed up as Captain Motorhead out at some NHRA event whenever they get closer back to Missouri. Because right now I don't have the time nor the money to be able to travel all around. But that's something I'm hopeful for. Another cool thing that took place over on the NHRA side not too long ago, Brittany Force beat her own speed record, and while doing it, actually beat her own record for going the fastest miles per hour. So she did a time of 3.667 seconds at Charlotte, North Carolina, and she did that at 341 miles per hour. We're getting closer and closer to that 350 mark. I think that's really impressive. And I know that those teams are going to keep pushing those cars, and eventually they'll get there. Might be a few more years before we see it, as it's been a slow climb, but I definitely think that it's going to happen. Especially since her last time she had that record, she did it in 317.42 miles per hour. So quite a bit of an increase there. That was a few years ago that she got her first record with it. So again, would like to see that continue to rise. I think it's just really impressive that they go that fast. And if any of you have ever been to any NHRA event, you feel that force when it goes by. Like it's cool. Feelings like none other. I love going to NASCAR, and it's cool whenever the cars come by you and everything, but the power behind dragsters and funny cars is on a completely different level. And whenever you see them go at night, adds to the fun. Watching those flames shoot up out of the cars, and that's basically all you get to see as they fly by you. The sounds, the feeling, it's just truly phenomenal. I still remember being young and just being almost blown away by it all. Uh, Headphones on, still hardly able to hear after you take them off. They're just that powerful. Absolutely love it, and I want to see more. I'm excited for them to come back around here, like I've said, because I want to go. I want to be there in person again. It's been way too long since I've got to see a NHRA event in person, so I'm really looking forward to that. I know they're working on a track not too far from me, so once that gets up and going, you best believe I'm gonna be out there. That really does it for NHRA though. I don't have too much more on that. I know that just last week, both Brittany Force and Tony Stewart made it to the finals where Brittany did actually beat Tony. I would like to add her car as well to my collection for her dragster, especially since she's been running a lot of Hendrick Motorsports themes, which, as a lot of you know, I am a big Hendrick fan. So I think it'd be really cool to be able to add her dragster to the NHRA side of my collection, where I have lots of John Force, thanks to my grandpa, Tony Schumacher, slew of other people. I still got to go through all those. I don't have room up on my wall, which I do want to upload a picture of that on my Twitter here soon. I also am getting my YouTube channel going, so that's going to be up over this weekend. So if you want to check this out on there instead, you can. I'm going to make sure to be posting links to everything on my Twitter account. So that's going to be the easiest place to get a hold of me for anyone that wants to. And my Twitter handle at that is going to be capital C, lowercase p, t as in tango, underscore, capital M, and then the rest is lowercase, Otorhead. So that stands for Captain Motorhead. And when you do it, you're literally going to see the picture just as it is on my podcast and my repost and all that. I haven't done a lot yet. Still just kind of introduce myself. I've been trying to interact with some fans on Twitter, be able to kind of make some friends, and just reach out to other people and, get more information as well. I like to be able to know things about other parts of the sports. As I mentioned in my last podcast too, there's that Mazda Miata series. I want to start trying to follow it some more. And some of those things are ones I didn't know about till other guys told me about it. So I want to try and make sure to keep talking to other people so that way I can bring new things to my listeners. So as we go on, I'll make sure to do that and bring other series into it. Of course, I'm hoping to be posting more often as well. So that'll help with everything now that I have an actual laptop to be able to do this all on. But that truly does it for NHRA. And I'm going to move on from there. We're going to talk just a little bit about ARCA. and it's because of a certain person that was racing in it. They did two races. Um, First at Talladega, and the second at Charlotte. So some of you may know it, some of you may not. I am talking about Cletus McFarland. In his first race, he did really well. He actually avoided two wrecks. He had an engine issue where, if I remember correctly, he was down to either 6 or 7 cylinders in his car. Even with that, he finished 10th. So he scored a top 10 finish for his very first ARCA race. Phenomenal. Think that's absolutely awesome. And I was definitely one of those that says that he deserves a chance, and I still feel that way. Even after this race at Charlotte, he had a bit of a mistake, caused a huge accident on a restart, and somehow still finished ninth. But as they went back to green, he was in second place, got a little bit loose, and spun the tires. So it happens. He said after the race, he was new to restrictor plates. He made a mistake. He did apologize. Said he learned a lot. And I saw him get absolutely just torn apart on social media. Don't even understand why. Yeah, he made a mistake. He owned up to it. Kind of in a joking-ish manner, but if you ever watch his YouTube channels and everything, you would know that that's just how Cletus is. And he's done a lot to bring attention not just to NASCAR, but to racing as a whole, especially when it comes to small hometown tracks that are just completely run down and forgotten about. Cletus helps bring attention to that. He does little fun banger races and stuff like that on short tracks that he's had Tony Stewart be a part of before. Twice now, actually. Him and Stewart have done one together. And it's just a lot of fun. And he brings in a lot of other guys, gives some people some opportunities to be able to kind of live out their dream because, there's a lot of people out there that want to be a race car driver who never had a chance. Whether it be due to money, life, whatever. And Cletus has kind of given them an opportunity to at least enjoy a little bit of racing and have some fun. Now, the mistake he made is one I've seen in Cup. Guys that spin their tires and end up causing a wreck on a restart. Ones where the guy, just like Cletus, make it away pretty much without a scratch. Where you have other cars that hit the wall so hard or get hit by another car, they catch on fire, which, yes, actually happened for Cletus's ARCA race. It was a big wreck. Go watch the replay of it if you haven't seen it. And I felt bad for some of those other drivers caught up in it. It ruined their day. And I do think that he knows that. And again, he's just being McFarland about it. But he's having his fun. I'm excited to see what he's going to be doing. Apparently he's going to trucks. I haven't been able to find a true announcement, so some of this is just speculation. But with Dodge, well, not really Dodge, sorry, Ram announcing their return to NASCAR in the Truck Series and hinting that it's not going to be Dodge, it's going to probably be a different company under that same parent logo. That will be going into Cup. But supposedly, Cletus is going to be racing for Ram in the Truck Series. I'm hoping to see that be the truth. I think it's really awesome. You have Frankie Muniz currently in the Truck Series. He's had some bad luck, not very much good luck. I would like to see that change for him, but to have another guy in the series that I would actually be interested in following would be really cool. That would just add to it, as I do follow Rajah Caruth. So just making it where it would give me another person that I kind of want to follow and see how they do would be interesting. Because right now when it comes to truck, I don't follow too many guys. I just have the two that I truly root for and try and see how they're doing each week. And Rajah just actually won a race, so congratulations to him on that. That's absolutely amazing. That's his second career win in the NASCAR Truck Series, both of which have been in Hendrick Motorsports themes, racing for Spire. I expect to see him up into Xfinity or even Cup eventually, probably racing for Spire, or if not them, even Hendrick Motorsports. I could see him taking over for even Kyle Larson eventually in Hendrick. And I don't think Kyle's going to be around forever. That's why I say that. He obviously loves his dirt racing a little bit more than he loves Cup, so I expect to see him eventually take a bow away. Maybe he wins the Daytona 500, then knocks off a few other major wins on his list, and then that's it. He's already a champion. He's already had a 10-win season. He's done quite a few things. He's always going to be remembered as being great in NASCAR, so I could see him taking a bow away and going off and doing his own thing. That opening up the door for Rajah Caruth to be able to come up into Hendrick. And one of the reasons why I say that is because of how much Larson does talk about Rajah and talks with him. And I know a lot of the other Hendrick guys have kind of been doing that too. I've seen William Byron talking with him down on the track and stuff. So it's just some interactions like that that kind of make you wonder, if that's not where he's going to go. But again, it would just be cool. And then, for the truck series as a whole, I think it's been getting better. Whenever I first started watching it, like really, really watching it, it was 2019, and I felt like the racing was okay, but then 2020 it just really fell off, and I haven't seen the best racing there. It's been kind of a, I want to watch my language, so it's been chaotic. Let's put it that way. Some races can be really good, not a lot of wrecks. Other races, it's just, wow, what are we watching? Demolition Derby? And I kind of see that being the consistency for a lot of it. I would like to see that cleaned up a bit, how it has been. I don't like just seeing the guys wrecking each other, especially the championship race. Really wasn't all that great. Um, So it's things like that I don't like. I don't like when the guys just go out there and just automatically try and wreck each other for wins. It's been happening in Xfinity Series a little bit too much as well as of late. Or I know sending three wide's a great thing. I know doing crazy moves is part of it, but there's a time to do it. There's a time to not. And I see that some of the drivers. I don't know if it looks different in their driver's seat because, like I've said before, and I'll always make sure, I'm not a race car driver. I'm a fan. But as a fan looking at the replays, sometimes you wonder what's going on through their mind or what they see. And with all these in-car cameras and stuff, you think it'd make it real easy to be able to kind of tell. Well, but the times when you want to see the in-car camera, they don't show it. And right now, I'm not paying for HBO Max and all that stuff to be able to see the in-car cameras on these dang things. So sometimes you got to just go with what you're told. But they have a little too much craziness at times in both of those series. We even just had not too long ago. It was actually at Talladega. They pushed it three wide at the end, and watching that replay, uh, Austin Hill really was pushing Connor Zilic a lot. Or sorry, no, pushed Love. Sorry, Jesse Love. Yes, Austin Hill pushed Jesse Love into Connor Zilic, causing a really hard crash for Zilic, to be honest with you. And that threw up the yellow into the race. He had a run. I know he was pushing, but gosh, that was the wrong section of the track to be pushing like that. And they were up in going into turn three, or sorry, no, coming out of turn two, and that was just bad. I don't agree with moves like that, especially since the race was already three wide for the win. They were up in the corner. If anything, I mean, as much as it sucks to try and send it four wide, that's what I think would have been the best thing to try and do coming out of the corner to really try and force some moves then, because he wouldn't have had such a hard hit for someone going right into the safety barrier. But again, I'm not in the driver's seat, so I don't know what he saw. I'm just saying what I saw. So that one was a little crazy for me to be able to kind of watch, and I got to watch that one live. One of the few races for Xfinity I've watched this year, and that was a bad way to end the race. Sorry, dude, didn't really mean to jump over to Xfinity like that. Just kind of happened. But for Truck Series, I don't have a lot more anyway. Um, I kind of just follow that a little bit here and there, listen to the races as I can. Shout out to the guys that actually do the radio side of NASCAR, because at least whenever Fox was doing it, the radio side of it was way better. So MRN was just, yeah, that's sorry, that's actually the name of the NASCAR radio station, MRN. They do a great job. Anytime I have to listen to a race because I don't get to watch it, whether I be at work or it's just on a channel that I don't have access to, MRN is the way to go. They're enthusiastic about everything. They stay up on all the drama and the action. They're talking about what crew chiefs are talking with their drivers and everything. All the stuff the booth is supposed to do that when it was on Fox, they kind of fell short on. So it's thanks to them even that I listen to Xfinity and to Truck as much as I try to do. But even then, I need some more drivers I want to follow in those series. I feel because even Xfinity, as much as I'm a huge Junior fan, grew up being a Dale Jr. fan, I have quite a few of his cars in my collection. Whether it be from his own team, Junior Motorsports and Xfinity, or it be from when he was racing in Cup. Typically, I have his Hendrick Motorsports stuff more just because, well, when I was a kid, I don't really remember having any of the Bud cars. At least not for the most part. I know I had a lot of the Dale Senior cars, but I don't think I had very many Junior. And I had a lot of Jeff Gordon, still do. But I need some more drivers to follow because I don't even follow the guys on his team. I follow Justin Allgaier. I was following Josh Berry. He was my biggest one I was following, but he moved up to Cup Series. And as crazy as it is that he's, you know, racing for the Wood Brothers and everything, I'm still following him. I'm actually following a Ford, people. Yes, I am. I typically stick with the Chevys, it seems, whenever it comes to most of my drivers, but I also have a few that I follow that are in Toyota and now Ford. So, but with that being said, I need more drivers in Xfinity to follow. If anyone knows any drivers that have a good personality, good with interviews and stuff like that, let me know. I like to follow drivers that have that type of personality where they do good interviews and they have, a sense of life to them and it not just be, oh, I don't even know how to explain it, but I like when they can talk. I like when they're a true person and they don't just seem like they're a wall. Looking at you, Chase Elliott. But on from that, before I get into NASCAR Cup, I'm just going to rip the Band-Aid off. The Indy 500. Kyle Larson's double attempt. Horrible. Absolutely horrific. Weather was not going to cooperate at all. I don't know how Amazon is still going to do a documentary on the whole thing. It's going to be a real sad documentary at this point. And it was always a letdown. And it's not entirely Kyle's fault on that part. You can't control weather, obviously. And you had a driver wreck out before the race even started, which delayed the start even more. And he already knew he was going to have to basically leave the race early. So there's a lot there for him that I think was in his head. And he ended up making a bit of a rookie mistake. I've watched the replay quite a few times, and he downshifted during a turn while accelerating. Doesn't really go very well, and you saw how it resulted for him. It is a spin out that ruined his day. Um, learning experience for him. Obviously, it was only his second time ever racing in an Indy car. I know they did lots of practice. He did really well in practice last year, but this year he even spun out a few times, hit the wall, damaged the car, and I think between that and the weather, it just didn't look like it was going to go well either way. Following that, he goes over to Charlotte, starts the race in second, takes the lead almost instantly, and then spins out. Well, it's okay. He didn't really hit anything, just the back of the field. Finally working his way up, breaks the top 20. Oh, gets caught up in a wreck. He's out for the day. I've seen the picture of him in the pits getting out of the car after they finally tell him it's done. The car's killed, and the look of just absolute defeat on his face was just wow. He was so defeated, and I don't blame him. Anyone in that position would be that defeated and that deflated. And I feel bad for him. And I think a lot of people, whether you're a Hendricks fan or not a Hendricks fan, or you're not even a huge Kyle Larson fan, kind of felt bad for him on that day. I didn't really see a lot of negative comments other than people that still like to say the whole "ha ha best driver in the world, huh?" He never said that he was the best driver. He just said that he was an overall more capable driver, being able to drive more vehicles. Not saying he's the best. He never said that. It's just whenever he was compared to Max Verstappen over in F1, he said that he feels like he can be able to drive more variety. That's all. I hate people keep twisting that around. And it's just because he never said he was the best. If he would have said he was the best and all this would happen, I would be right there with everybody laughing about it, even though I am a Larson fan. But that's not what he said. He makes mistakes. Everyone does. Even Max Verstappen isn't perfect. I've seen lots of videos of him making mistakes. So I personally, I kind of hate that whole debate. It upsets me anytime it's brought up because the drivers that should be mentioned in the best driver aren't even mentioned. I'm sorry, it's neither Verstappen nor Larson. It's neither one of them. Not in my mind. So, and I'm a fan of both in a way. I like Max Verstappen. I like F1. What's been going on over there? He's real dominant, dominated a whole season and everything else. It's cool. It's great. It can also be boring, but every sport can be boring at times. Look at golf. Some people seem to love it. So, but back to Larson on that day, it sucked. And I really don't know how how Netflix is going to do a documentary on that, other than really talking about how much the rain is horrible, because the rain ruined what could have been a great attempt the first time around, where he actually did finish in Indy and was going over to Charlotte just to have it get rained out the rest of the way. And I think that would have at least been a somewhat salvage double attempt if he would have got to finish Charlotte last year. But with everything that happened both last year and this year, the time frames of the Indy 500 and the Charlotte 600 starting, I kind of agree with what Larson said in an interview after it all, that it's really difficult to be able to make it work because of the time frame. If the Indy 500 still started earlier in the day like it used to back in the early 2000s when guys like Kurt Busch or Tony Stewart did the double, it was still tight, but it was a little bit more doable. Nowadays, with how it is, it's almost just not even worth trying, I feel. Unless both sports kind of get together on the whole ordeal. It's like, all right, Indy starts an hour earlier, Charlotte starts an hour later. Build in an extra 2 hour window. That would be the only way I see that really working. But then you're racing over in Charlotte potentially into 1 or 2 a.m. in the morning. So I get how it's not really a good way to get around everything and to be able to allow. Wow, sorry, my microphone just died. Well, it's still a newer podcast, so I'm going to just have to apologize for that and keep moving forward. After I plugged it in, it's now been charging. I had to hit pause for a moment. Sorry, folks, sorry. But I'll take that as a sign that it's time to stop talking about the Indy 500 and the Larson double attempt. Going forward, though, I really don't see anyone being able to do it for real. I don't. It's going to be really difficult for anyone to get to pull it off. You'd have to have the weather participate perfectly with all the money the teams put into it. I just don't see them really continuing on that because there was a lot put into this one, especially for Larson's attempt with McLaren on both of these years. So it might be cost prohibitive going forward. I don't know. It's going to be difficult. So, but like I said, that's it for the Indy 500 and the Charlotte race as well for the most part. The only thing I think I could say for the Charlotte race is after Larson was out
We were still rooting for William Byron, just to have him fall off at the end of the race too. It kind of seems to be the theme for Byron for this year. Do really well, dominate the race. Oh, fall short. Just fell short this past weekend in Michigan. Gave the win to Denny Hamlin. Not really his fault though. I mean, his tires were falling off. He was in save fuel mode. Hamlin was kind of one of the only cars, even up in the top 10, that wasn't saving fuel. So I don't blame Byron for anything on that, or any of his other ones where it just kind of got away from him, whether it be due to fuel or tires falling off, late accident causing yellow, whatever it be. He's still doing really well in points, and he's showing that he's a great wheelman and definitely a good one to have in the number 24 car. Gordon seems to be very happy with him, and I think it's a phenomenal career so far for him. So I'd like to see him get some more wins, though. Definitely add some more big ones to the resume for him, like the Charlotte 600 would have been. Plus, he would have won 2 of the crown jewels in the same year. I think that would have been a really cool feat for him, but, whatever. Maybe next year. That'd be kind of crazy to think about, actually, him being a 3-time Daytona champ and 3 in a row. Who knows, though? But I want to talk about the race I actually got to go to for a minute. Kansas Speedway, my home track. Grew up not too far away, as I mentioned in the last podcast. And when it comes to the next-gen cars especially, one of the better racetracks. I see Jeff Gluck's polls after every race, and he even just showed that right up there with Michigan, Kansas, one of the better ranked tracks for the next-gen car. And I see why. I've been to most of the races for the next-gen. Actually, I think I've only missed one race in the next-gen there. And yeah, it's phenomenal. I've been there for the most dominating race ever, which of course was this previous race that was led by Larson, won by Larson. Larson started on the pole. He had the fastest lap for the Xfinity. Like he walked out of there with every point possible for the championship, and that's amazing. I hope it helps him later on in the season. Some people, due to the fact that one driver dominated the whole race, thinks it's a bad race. Other people think that because of the fact that there weren't that many people in the stands, think it's a bad race. For one, the race was on Mother's Day. So, let's face it, maybe not all moms wanted to go. I also saw a lot of people that left early. It might be because of certain drivers that wrecked out. You had Brad Keselowski, who could have been able to win the race. He was definitely the fastest car out there and would have gave Larson a run for his money. He had a tire go down, he hit the wall. Chase Elliott lost some spots on pit road due to I don't exactly remember what happened. I just know there's an issue. Denny Hamlin had his clutch go out. Oh, poor Denny. I respect him, but I can still say I was laughing pretty good. Felt bad for the person right behind me, though, because they were a big Denny fan. They ended up leaving a little early because of it all. And that happens. So I think that's partially why the fans were so empty. Because on top of that, you had Kyle Busch spin out. He was having a pretty decent day, working his way up into the top 10 here and there, then to fall out a little bit. Going 4 wide, though, he pulled the short straw and got bumped from the side, and he was gone. There was nothing he would have been able to do to save that. It was a 4 wide situation at Kansas Speedway. As cool as that is, a lot of times it doesn't end well, at least for one driver, whether they just get out of the draft, they shuffle back a little bit, or by getting loose or whatever, or they spin out. So, second year in a row, I've seen Kyle Busch lose it at Kansas. I guess, maybe the track and him just don't get along right now. I don't know. But the moment he spun out and people knew that was the end of his day, I saw quite a few other fans leave. So, part of me wonders if maybe they weren't showing the fans enough at the start of the race versus the end of the race. It might look like it was a pretty empty racetrack. But there were still quite a few out there. I had a lot of fun. I know, big Hendrick fan. I was wearing all my Larson gear. I even had the original 2001 Kansas Speedway flag with me. It's funny, in Larson's burnout video, I can actually see exactly where I'm at due to the flag. You can't see me. You can't even really make the flag out. I can just make out that it is the flag, and that is exactly where I was sitting. So, kind of a fun little thing. I'm definitely going to keep taking that with me. My dad told me that I messed up on a few things when it came to my first podcast talking about Captain Motorhead. He definitely knows the stories better than me. I'm going to have him on the show. But he started off with just the helmet on his head and the cape. And the cape was not truly a cape, it was an NHRA flag. I'm going to have him confirm on years and whatnot, but he made it sound like he actually started this in 1995 with the whole dressing up and going out to the tracks. Kind of embarrassing my grandpa and my uncle in doing so, but hey, I'm his son, so I can see that yes, that's something that he would do because it's totally something that I would do. So I'm hoping to do the same thing for the fall race at Kansas Speedway to debut my own helmet, and I'm gonna probably use that Kansas Speedway flag as my cape. That way it's my startup, kind of how he started. And from there I'd like to, of course, get the whole fire suit and everything else, make my own cape, and start going out to a whole bunch of places around here. I really want to go to Kansas Speedway once I'm entirely dressed up in all of it again. Of course, once they do work on the track for NHRA out in Odessa, would like to be able to hit that. And I'm going to be going to some dirt tracks and everything around here. I actually work with someone who does dirt racing and like little car racing and stuff like that. So I've already talked with them. They would love for me to dress up entirely, come out, hang out, kind of be, like get a sticker or something to put on their car just for fun, just to be able to kind of be like, hey, look, they're part of Captain America being sponsored, this and that. So I'm going to be doing that for sure, and that way I can be able to go out, talk to more people, be able to meet some folks, and kind of get the word out there about this, because I would really love to have other people on the podcast. As much as I like talking, I don't think everyone just wants to listen to me talk for 45 minutes to an hour. So I want to try and get some other people on here. I got a friend that I work with. He's definitely going to be on this at some point. We've already kind of talked about it. He seemed real cool about doing it to be able to kind of talk about his side of things, how he sees stuff. Him and I have a lot of fun when we're at work, kind of talking about things here and there. So it'd be really cool to actually set aside, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour, however long he'd be willing to talk, and just really talk about how we see what's going on in the series. He's real big on the NASCAR stuff. And we have a lot of fun talking about it. So just to get some more people on here is the goal. And that's why I want to go out to other tracks around. Whether it be big tracks, small tracks, Lakeside, or even the small one up here near where I actually live. It's like over in Cameron. A whole bunch of different cool stuff to be able to check out. I'm definitely going to be going out there all dressed up once I get that finished. First place I will be going, though, is going to be Kansas Speedway. I've already taken off work for it, working on saving up to get my tickets. Definitely going to be doing the pit pass, at least for Sunday, if not Friday, Saturday, and Sunday or something. We'll kind of see with what they have available for the truck race or Xfinity. I think all three series are racing down there this fall. I got to confirm that too, though. Would hope to see maybe ARCA race there too as well. If so, I'll try and go to that. That way I can be able to hit all of them. But I got to confirm that as well. So I'm going to be doing all that. But for sure, that Sunday in September, I think it's the 28th, if I remember correctly, or something like that, I will be at Kansas Speedway, and it will be fully Captain Motorhead. So that's going to be a lot of fun. When I was at Kansas Speedway this year, I talked to Bob Pockris and Jeff Gluck. I follow both of them on Twitter. Huge fans of both those guys. They are phenomenal. The reporting work that they do for NASCAR is really cool. I really like Jeff Gluck and how he does the polls after every race that I mentioned earlier. He interacts with a lot of fans. Being a part of his tweet up was really amazing to hear everything that they're talking about when it comes to the news of NASCAR, whether it be drivers they think are going to a different team next year, or who they think is going to win that day. Of course, Larson was in the talks a lot for that one because of the fact that he had already won twice at Kansas, especially with him winning with Busher, or beating Busher, sorry, for the win last year for the closest finish in NASCAR history. Still love saying that I was there for that. I got the car for that up on the wall right here behind me. And that's going to be another fun thing. Once I do get my helmet done, I do want to start doing true podcasts where you guys can just, see me as well as listen to me. So that way, if you want to watch on YouTube, you can, and you can be able to see more. And that way, I can be able to kind of show off a little bit of my collection that I have. Because really, right now, no one gets to see it. I don't really have people over to my house ever. So, it's all just kind of a hidden gem that I would like to get to share. And that'd just be a fun little thing to have, especially with some of the cars I have up in my collection. A lot of which are thanks to my grandpa and my dad, or a good friend of mine that I used to work with when I was in trucking, and another good friend of mine from where I currently work. So, lots of cool things like that I want to start doing and be able to get into. But let's talk NASCAR Cup. For real, for real. Like, not just touch on it here and there as I have throughout. This season's been kind of weird. The racing hasn't been as good as I would like for some cases. I still think the Kansas race is better than what people are saying. You might have not had a lot of lead changes, but there was a lot of different people moving up through the pack. Ross Chastain was one of them. I know he had a really good day. Even Kyle Busch, before he spun out, he started near the end of the pack and he worked his way up near the front. Chase Elliott did really well until he lost some spots on pit road. So there's a lot of different things there. And story-wise, overall, there's a lot of drama that took place. So I think that it was a better race than others are saying. Michigan, this past weekend, I agree. It was the best race of the season. We had some phenomenal racing. Decent lead changes. Granted, yes, again, you had one driver kind of lead a lot of it, but they were fighting back and forth too. It came down to fuel mileage at the end. And I think Amazon should be thanked for making the race as good as it was. I believe that if Fox was still the one doing the broadcast for this Michigan race, it would have honestly been looked at as horrible. Those that were there would have loved it, as has been the truth for the last few years, that anytime I go to and I see Jeff's polls, people that were at the race are saying that it was great, and they're blaming the broadcasting for making it such a horrible race. Sometimes I was like, oh, it can't be that true. It can't always be the broadcasting. Well, but then Kansas happened even. Brad Keselowski, when he hit the wall, it took the broadcasters almost 10 seconds to even realize an accident happened. And I know things happen quick and this and that on the track and they're watching one area, but 10 seconds. And then they didn't even know what happened. Whoa, we got a car spin. Whoa, what's going on in the backstretch, huh? Come on, guys. He was chasing down Chase Elliott. The guy that was leading the race. You didn't see second place wreck out? Horrific. And it made me think back to other calls, to other things, not just Kansas, but even Daytona or the Brickyard from last year. How boring some of those races seemed. And it's like, wow. Well, okay. Well, but hold on. For me, especially this year, I listened to the Daytona 500 on MRN. I didn't get to watch that whole race. I listened to it. And I thought it was pretty good. Well, but everyone else thinks it was horrible. It's not just because William Byron won the race due to caution and everything else, or not even really caution, a wreck. No. It's because of the fact that the whole race seemed boring. Well, MRN made it where it wasn't boring, so it tells me that it was Fox. And I will continue to say that, especially because of the fact of what Amazon Prime has done. They have given us some of the best broadcasting that we have had since whenever I was a little kid in the early 2000s. Like, absolutely amazing. The pre-race show has been phenomenal. The post-race show has been great. The actual broadcast during the race itself has been 100% on point. In the Michigan race, they were showing fuel and the amount of throttle that the drivers were using and how much fuel consumption it was, and talking about the different strategies and how the crew chiefs or the spotters were communicating with the drivers on, hey, you're running here in third position. You're this far back from second. You're actually saving more fuel than they are. Keep running the way you're running. or going back to fourth or fifth place. Being able to tell them, hey, you need to be able to try and save, but you also need to be able to close the gap. They're saving in front of you. Save as you can, but close the gap. Then you had Denny Hamlin, not really saving. He came up, took the lead. And that's great for Denny. And the whole race near the end there was, my eyes were glued to the screen. And you didn't even have a lot of passing going on. It was the fuel mileage race. But Prime made it so amazing. I loved it. And I want to see them take on more races. We only have a few left for this season. They're down in Mexico this weekend. But I do. I want to see Amazon Prime be the main NASCAR sponsor for streaming. I don't care if maybe they still get to do some stuff on normal TV or whatnot. But let's face it, most things are on streaming these days. And the only people that I've seen complaining about it are people that somehow don't have Amazon Prime. And I understand if you don't have, if you live out in the country, or it is not exactly the cheapest thing, but it's also not the most expensive thing. And with how much internet shopping is done these days, it's truly shocking how many people don't have Prime, and how many people are still complaining. They offered a 1-month free trial of Amazon Prime when NASCAR started streaming on it. There was only going to be 6 races on Prime. That was going to give you 4 out of 6 races. So you could have done it right at the beginning and only miss out on 2 races, or you could have done it 2 races in and be able to kind of see how it is after other people showed parts of it on the internet to show you how great the broadcasting was. But yet people, they were still complaining. They didn't want to do it. Oh, I'm not going to get some other streaming platform, this and that. Well, Prime has 12 races next year. Maybe the year after that, it'll be increased to 24. I think that'd be really amazing. And I would hope that others would start to, I hate to say like cave in, but, just accept it. Some change is good. Fox really has not been given as good broadcasting. It's made it where I enjoy more listening to MRN radio than I do listening to Fox. If I even turn on the race, I mute it. And I listen to it through my headphones. So I can be able to listen to MRN. Because the broadcasting on MRN is better. Now I finally can say that Amazon Prime, that's phenomenal. I want to get to watch every race now. As long as it's on Prime. I'm sad that I got to work Sunday night. And by night, I mean I go in at 1 p.m. and I work till 10 p.m. So I'm going to miss the race. I am. It sucks. I'm not excited for that. Horrible. Because I know it's going to be a great broadcast. And it's down in Mexico. Which, speaking of that, let's just go ahead and get on that topic real quick. Let's finish out this podcast. I only got about 10 minutes left before I really want to wrap it all up. So I'm just going to go ahead and go into it, I'm excited for this weekend. I think this is amazing what NASCAR is doing. Going back down into Mexico. We haven't been there since 2008, the Xfinity Series, when Kyle Busch won. Well, hey, Busch fans, that's cool, right? We're going back to where he last won. Well, for the series, the only time they went down there anyway. And then, wait, what? Denny Hamlin, driver of the 11, is not going? But for good reasons. His wife just had a baby. He has a baby boy. And he's going to stay home to help her out and be with his family for the weekend. And hey, it's Father's Day weekend. I think that is honestly a beautiful story. I'm excited for Denny. Again, like I've said before, I'm not the hugest fan of Denny, but I truly respect him and I would love to get to sit down and talk with him someday. I see fans blowing him up. Why is he not going? How can he be eligible for playoffs if he doesn't go? This and that, blah blah. Because NASCAR's already said they're gonna clear him. They're gonna give him a waiver, and they should. Family's important. Always has been. Always should be. That's your blood, and blood is thicker than water. So yeah, he should stay home. He should not be taken out of the playoffs because of it either. He's the points leader right now. Can't take him out of the playoffs. He's got 3 wins this season. Doing great. Again, not a Denny fan, but I'm going to sit here and say how awesome he's doing. So, sorry to all those that are upset about it, but I think NASCAR did the right thing by letting him stay home. And I think he made the right decision by staying home. That shows he still is dedicated to his family and not just a sport. And that's what NASCAR, it's a sport. And yeah, it's a livelihood for a lot of people, but there is more to life than just a sport. So props to Denny. Congratulations to him as well. I hope he has a great weekend and maybe even gets to enjoy watching the race on Prime himself from home with his newborn child. But the last time Denny Hamlin missed a race, which was, I think it was, if the stats right, it was like 400, over 400 races in a row he made a start on. This is going to take that out. But the last time he did not race, Kyle Busch won. So wow, there we go, huh? Last time we went to Mexico, Kyle Busch won. Last time Denny Hamlin didn't race, Kyle Busch won. Really makes you wonder, is this Kyle Busch's weekend? It's been over a year since he won. I really thought I was going to get to see him win whenever I saw him last fall at Kansas until he got spun out. Well, he kind of spun himself out there, but that's a whole nother different thing we'll get into maybe on one day of moves in NASCAR I don't think should have happened. Or times that guys should have got out of the leader's way, more like for that. But anyway, I hope to see him win. If not this weekend, sometime soon. I would like to see Kyle Busch be able to at least tie Dale Earnhardt. I think that would be real cool. Or if not tie him, maybe just one below him. I would at least like to see him get up there. If I remember correctly from Denny's podcast, he's, I think, 8 wins away, maybe more, just somewhere right in there from being right up there with Dale Earnhardt. And I just think it'd be really cool. I know a lot of Dale Jr. fans are like, well, you can't be a Dale Jr. fan and a Kyle Busch fan. How can? Sorry, I'm both. In fact, a lot of people would hate me. I have their cars in the same case for my collection. Yep, I have Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Kyle Busch in the same case. I'm a madman. Wow. But really, I want to see him win. If not this weekend, this season. He has won in other series. Truck Series being one of them, of course. But we're talking Cup. And that's where he hasn't won. Sadly, it was a 19-year streak of him winning at least one race every season. Got ruined last season because he did not win a race. Let's get another streak started. I know he's got a few more years left in him. He talked about that in the podcast with Denny Hamlin. He's trying to wait for Braxton to be a little bit older. I think he's hinting we might see the return of Kyle Busch Motorsports maybe when Braxton does get the right age, and so he just kind of switches over to a team owner at that point. But of course, we'll have to kind of wait and see there. A few more years of what's to come. But excited to see everything with him and his son. I think it's really awesome that he's even doing that and helping his son build up his own career in racing. And it's a lot of fun to watch them. They just got to race together. I got to watch the highlights of that race because I sadly didn't get to watch the race itself. But it was a lot of fun to see. And not just with Braxton, but also Kevin Harvick and his son. So there's a lot going on there too. And they just got to race together as well. And that was also a lot of fun. I watched the replays of that too. Man, it's great. It's kind of crazy to think though too, because for me, I was real little whenever Kevin Harvick and Kyle Busch got their starts. And now here I am looking down 30. And they have their kids starting racing. So, wow, makes you feel great at that point. But if Kyle Busch doesn't win this weekend, I want to see Daniel Suarez. We're racing in Mexico. He's from Mexico. I think it'd be great to see him win. I just saw they posted about his helmet. It looks beautiful. The helmet for him racing down. Oh, it's a beautiful helmet. I don't typically get helmet replicas or anything, and I'm not typically a huge Daniel Suarez guy, but I got one car of his in my collection, and I'm not gonna lie. If they make a replica of that helmet, I might be in trouble. Might have to try and get me that. But I would like to see one of them. If not those two, I only got two others I want to see win for this weekend. SVG, Shane Van Gisbergen. I like him. I'm a fan of his. When they first raced at Chicago and he came and he wiped the floor with all the Cup guys and won, was phenomenal. Then he went to Xfinity, not doing the best on the ovals, but is improving, but did great on road courses. Had a few wins, was in contention to be able to be in the playoffs, did pretty well in that. Sadly, had a few issues happen in races that did end up taking him out of the playoffs, but overall, first year racing Xfinity went really well. Then he comes over to Cup, and again, he hasn't had the consistency, but he's been doing okay. With them going down to Mexico, though, I think that it's a chance for him to be able to get another Cup Series win under his belt. And then lastly, the other driver that I think deserves a win has been close the last few races, had an engine blow up on him, had a tire blow out on him. Talking about Carson Hocevar. He's my last pick. I think one of those four would be real nice to see win down there. Number one being Kyle Busch, just because last time they went to Mexico and the last time Denny Hamlin didn't race, he won. So the fact that it's both at once, I just feel like that's a doubleheader. We gotta have it. Let's get Kyle Busch on it. And Suarez, like I said, he's the native. He's from there. I think that'd be a cool story. I'd at least like to see him start on the pole or second. That way he's on first row. But I don't know. We have to see how it all plays out. Let's go racing, guys. And let's go racing in Mexico. This is going to be great. I'm truly hoping to have another episode up next week. All right, I'm hoping to make this a Friday thing. So every Friday I want to have a podcast come out. Whether it's going to be a full hour long or not, I don't know. We'll wait and see on that, everybody. But I'm excited. Finally getting this done, getting this posted. I hope you all have a great day. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this. Please leave some comments, shoot me a text message, hit me up on Twitter. Interact if you want, guys. Gonna try and get some more people in on this too. Let me know if you want to come on. I want to have all my friends on here. I want to make sure we're all telling our stories, being able to talk about the things that we love when it comes to racing. So until next time, everyone, have yourselves a great day, and goodbye.